Rolling out our new 2019 online reports. I've got a copy of Alan's report here, and I'm going to show you basically the areas that have changed a little bit. Nothing too crazy, but hopefully the data we'll start to get will be more helpful in achieving our labor budgets. So, pardon me, I have a cold. Okay, so we want to get started with the sales report, 2019 sales report. As you can see it down here, we're on it right now. And the only section this year that's going to be green is this section here, which is going to include credit card deposits, cash, and online orders. Everything else in this form should automatically populate. That shouldn't require you to do anything other than to enter data in the green section. The next section, though, will be a little more detailed. And what it is, instead of having the dinner and lunch sheet that we've had before, we had that lunch, mid, dinner sales report. You're going to do the same thing, but what you're going to do now is using your time period report from Micros, you're going to enter in the lunch sales, the lunch guest count, the lunch checks, the lunch labor hours, and the lunch labor dollars. You're going to put that in, do the same thing for mid, same thing for dinner. This last one will calculate everything for you. All this data will go wherever it needs to go. You don't have to worry about it. You just fill in the yellow section, the green section, blue section, leave this alone over here, and everything will calculate like it has. In your schedule, you'll find right now that it's blank. What you will find here, though, is kind of a forecasted revenue for each of those shifts. And it's basically pulling it from the summary sheet over here, but your sales for lunch pretty much average. Now, this will be a little skewed because of the holidays and things. There's going to be some data in there that's going to mess you up a little bit. So the first couple weeks, it might be kind of hard to use that as a real firm number. But as you go forward, this number here, you'll be able to look at that and go, okay, what do I really need for an $1,100 lunch? What do I normally do? And then you can schedule accordingly. And that's forecasting. So if you have a holiday or you have something special going on, or you have a school night, or you have some other activity, then you will have to review that before you just go ahead and use that as the end-all be-all number. But this should help us kind of get an idea of, hey, my mid-shift, I'm running $300. I can do that with 2 people. I don't need a third guy. Same thing here on Saturdays. My Saturday mid-shift isn't that busy. So if I was bringing 2 and 2, maybe I only need to bring 2 and 1 or 1 and 1. And I can save labor there. That's the idea behind that data there. These will have to be filled in. Just the white sections, please. I do not have this locked down right now. It's open for you to use, but I don't want to have a bunch of errors and things. So you have to be really careful when you're utilizing these sheets. Please make sure that you're entering the data properly. And if you notice, like here, I've got a list of all the employees. It'll be in every cell. So if you're not sure of a spelling of a name, then it just basically pops up and it pulls that data in for you. Over here in Schedule 2, same thing. One thing I guess I should show you as well is that over here, if you have a salaried manager, it's going to be marked as yes. And what you're going to have is a different target, because this target here, this dashboard here, is only for hourly labor. So you don't have to worry about your labor. We're not going to worry about it. If you're a salaried manager, we have it already figured out. We've already got you budgeted in. But that means that your number here is a little bit lower. If you're using all hourly labor as management and as store employees, then this number will be higher. But it's all based on whether or not you have a salaried manager. And if this is yes, it'll be a certain number. If it's no, it'll be a certain number. The week-to-date dollars spent will come here. This will automatically update. The budgeted labor will be based on your sales and that percentage, and then your forecasted. Once you make your schedule, it's going to forecast the labor dollars spent and the labor percentage. If you're on target, like we are here, you'll be below this 20.50. If you're on target, it'll tell you real simple you're on target. If it tells you you're off target, you need to look at your schedules. Not that you have to change them, but just review them. Are you going to do more sales than what you're thinking? Are you going to do less sales than you're thinking? Be aware of that you're in target. We do want this to be green, But we don't want you to do drastic things to make it green, but we do want you to look at it and make sure that you're not overspending for no unnecessary reason. And you got to be able to justify your numbers, because this is the year of labor, and we're going to be talking about it a lot, and we're going to ask that you make these numbers. And so you're going to have to be able to justify why you didn't make a number. And that's going to be really important this year. So this little sheet right here should help you a lot. That data that you put in will also break down. So when you put in those labor hours and the sales for the mids, for the lunches and all those things, all that data will be here. It'll tell you how many scheduled hours you had, how many actual hours you had, what was the variance, what was the dollars in variance, what was the actual dollars spent, and then the difference between those two. And then over here on the far right, it's going to tell you, hey, your budget is this, and you spent this, and here's the variance. It's going to give you an average hourly wage. That's what's going to calculate for you as well. So you're going to be able to tell exactly what your average hourly wage is per shift, per day, per week. And then it will take you out. One of the things we have set up now is it'll remove, if you're a salaried manager, it'll remove your labor hours from those calculations so that we can get a good, accurate idea of what your average hourly wage is in your system. The important thing is that this data has to be very accurate. So you've got to have your updated information here and making sure all your employees are here, all your proper wage rates are here, all this information is up to date and accurate so that your reporting is accurate. Same thing with your micros, it needs to be accurate. You still have your recaps, your Schedule 1 recap. This lunch mid-dinner sales tab is going to be gone, but for right now it's still there just as I'm doing some work. But it'll be gone, and then you'll have a Schedule 2 recap. And those will be in there. So you only have sales, labor, and guest counts. The labor and guest counts is probably the biggest change for you this year. It's essentially putting in the same data you were putting in on the sales sheet, but it's breaking it down a little more detailed. And that detail will show up over here on these schedule sheets where we can see, hey, here's what we're scheduling, here's what we're actually doing, why are we scheduling X, and why are we getting actual hours that are greater. And looking at it and saying, okay, we had a $1,000 lunch we were scheduling for, and then we ended up doing a $1,700 lunch. And how did that impact us? And we can see the numbers there and get an idea of the impact that sales and labor is having on us and what we can do to modify and change that. So lots of detailed information. I need you to be as thorough as possible when you're putting this data in. Make sure it's accurate. These labor sheets should work really easy. The lunch and dinner, lunch and mid should go very easily for you. You'd be able to pull that report at 7 o'clock and be able to input that data. This dinner report, while the sales information will probably be accurate, the labor for dinner is going to need to be made sure to double check the next morning to make sure that it's accurate, because you could have people that stayed over, punched out, didn't punch out, whatever it is, and just making sure this data is accurate. It needs to be as accurate as possible because it's here as a tool to help you. And if you're not accurate on your reporting, then you'll have no roadmap on how to be successful this year. So if you